Hi guys, welcome to this month's dispatches. Now, I've got good news and bad news for you. Let me give you the bad news first. There won't be any dispatches for the month of July. Now, the reason behind that is we've had some production delays and a couple of important items that we were going to be releasing in July. And that only left a relatively small, meagre number of releases for July. And at the end of the day, we decided that it would be better if we paused in July, kept everything over until August, and released all of the July items that were scheduled for this time to come out at the same time as the August releases. So August is going to be a bumper month with all kinds of terrific items that we've got in store for you. And in fact, talking of those items that we've got in store for you in August, if you look just to my left here, you'll see two little medieval scaling ladders, mobile ones because they're on wheels, that up against this little imitation of a castle here. And you'll see different men at arms, two different sets. So we get two different scaling ladders with two sets of three men at arms climbing up. And these are going to be released in August as well. So that gives you an idea of what we've got. But while we're talking about the future, we thought, well, let's do something a wee bit different for July. And that is, let's have a look back at what King & Country has released over the last 12 months. And it's actually quite a collection. And this is not meant to be a complete list of every single item we've released over the last 12 months. I think that would take a couple of hours to show you that. But what I've tried to do is select some of the best items that I think will interest the most number of people. So you'll get everything from, well, to give an example, the Wild West. And as you know, we released the Chuck Wagon in the last 12 months. We also released the Magnificent Seven and a whole bunch of other great figures for the West. So apart from that, we also tried to do something completely different. We have famous personalities. And of course, you'll have seen the figures that we did of Louis XIV of France, the famous Sun King. We've done a standing figure and a mounted figure of France's most famous king. But talking of kings, we've also released a figure of King Farouk of Egypt, the last monarch of Egypt before it became a republic. And at the same time, we've got King Edward VII, who was the son of Queen Victoria, and had a very short reign, but quite an important reign in the UK. And of course, talking of the UK, we brought out a set of the four most famous musicians that ever existed. That's John, Paul, George, and Ringo, the Beatles, which has been a great success. And thank you very much for the support for that. So apart from personalities, of course, we can't forget World War II. And over the last 12 months, we've reinvigorated Arnhem. We brought out 14 figures of British paratroopers of the 1st Airborne Division that took part in the Arnhem operation. While we're up in the air with the paratroopers, we also brought out two Hurricanes, Hawker Hurricanes, of the most famous fighter, among the most famous fighter aces of the Battle of Britain, Douglas Bader and Bob Stanford Tuck. And I should say at this point, I know I'm jumping it forward again, but we'll be bringing out, I hope in September, two brand new Supermarine Spitfires, also Battle of Britain, belonging to two famous aces. Also for World War II, as you know, in the last 12 months, we brought out our Africa Corps Tiger tank and Africa Corps figures. And we've got some exciting plans in the not too distant future for some more Africa Corps, a vehicle and some famous figures. Let me see, what else have we got? Well, you can see for yourself, there's a whole list of videos you'll get a little chance to have a second look at. So although you wouldn't, I'm sorry to disappoint anyone that was expecting something for July, you can look forward to August, but you can also look back at the previous 12 months. And there may be one or two items that you missed, or you might like to take a second look at. So enjoy that. Apologies once more, but will more than make up for it in August. On the 9th of July, I'll be flying down to Brisbane, Australia. For 3 days, I'll be in Brisbane. I'll be meeting some of our oldest collectors. And I don't mean in age, I just mean the fact that they've been collecting King Country for 20, 25 years. That'll be great. And I'll meet our new dealer there. And I'm also planning on going down to Sydney, which we always look forward to. And I'll be in Sydney for 5 days with the guys down there. And that's always a great event. I apologise that I won't be going to Melbourne or Adelaide this year just due to time restrictions. However, I am looking forward to seeing lots of our Aussie collectors and talking to many of you, as I usually get the chance to do one-on-one, listen to your ideas, and you can share anything else you think about King Country. I'm also looking forward to the Australian winter weather, which will be a lot cooler and a lot more pleasant than what we've been having in Hong Kong the last few weeks. Anyway, that's it for today, and we'll speak soon. Cheers.